Hello, my name is Saremi and welcome back to another video. Today I am uploading a video about how I plan to study for Pokemon Champions. Now, if you've seen my channel before, you know I've uploaded mostly Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Or if you watched only recently, I think I've uploaded just Yu-Gi-Oh videos. And I'm a huge fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the TCG so much. But I also love Pokemon. And I have been wanting to play the VGC again. I've played it quite a few times on and off. I've never really stuck with it. But here we go, a new era, so I want to try it again, and I'm going to give you all how I plan to study for this game. No particular order in how I'm going to do things, but just a small guide on what it is I plan to do. So, first thing first, the big thing, and the thing I think you will hear most people talk about is practice. You're going to want to practice, practice, practice. And how do you practice? Well, by playing the game, and there's two ways to play the games. There is the way that you are usually going to play, which is Pokemon Champions, and the other way, Pokemon Showdown. Playing the actual game and playing Showdown has been the way most people have been practicing for years and years and years. So that's what I plan to continue doing. I will be using Champions when I'm actually at home and I have my Switch or I have a stable Wi-Fi connection and I know I can get in some games. I got plenty of time. I won't be interrupted. And then Showdown will be whenever I cannot do that. Whenever I am on like my lunch break, or maybe I'm out and about and I only have my phone and the Wi-Fi is good but not like great, or I only have a few minutes to do a round, that's when I'll be using Showdown to go ahead and get some runs in when I can't do Champions Run. The other thing I'll be using Showdown for is when I want to test out a team. Champions is probably not going to be very cheap to build teams as time goes on. I'm sure once it launches here in a few hours, I'm cutting this video kind of short here. Once it launches here in a few hours, I'm sure it's going to give us plenty of rewards, but as time goes on, it's probably going to be harder and harder to build a team unless you have plenty of time to do matches. So Champions is going to be where you do the definitive team, but when I want to test out something new, I'm going to go on Showdown and I'm going to just try something out, adjust it as much as I want because it's free to do that on Showdown as much as you'd like. So that's step number one. That's how I'm mainly going to study practice, 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 try to get in as much practice as possible. Practice makes perfect. You hear it all the time. It's like the go-to. Next step to my study guide. Gotta do your research, and there's multiple different ways to do your research. First, on the actual game itself, research on the game. You gotta study up, you gotta know what's going on. Best ways to do that is by going to Bulbapedia, Cerebi, or Pokemon Database. I personally really like Pokemon Database, but I hear a lot that Cerebi and Bulbapedia are much better. I have a personal preference for Pokemon Database because I like the way it looks. I find it a lot easier to look at the type chart on this and to find quick research on the moves. But I'm pretty sure Cerebi is going to be the place where everything is going to be up to date first. You know, they're an actual, I guess, news organization, journalism. I don't really know how to describe it, but they're going to be the most up to date on information, any updates if they're going to do balance patches, if any moves haven't changed, what the next format is going to look like. And then Bulbapedia, you know, you got all the information that you could ever want on Pokemon. If you need to know how to a move worked like 4 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or now we're at 30 years ago, Bulbapedia's got you. So this one's also really good. So you got to do your research. You got to know what's going on in the game. Got to know who's in the game. Got to know what the format is looking like. So here's where I'm going to be doing my research. It's going to be between these three guys. I'm sure there's other options to do research about stuff that's specifically going on in game. I imagine Champions will have their own little newsletter going on there, the way Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had that news whenever you booted up the actual online, as well as Pokemon. Well, I think all the Pokemons actually did that ever since Generation 5. It's just got deeper and deeper as they progressed. Next step in doing my research, I gotta know what's happening outside the game, specifically what's going on with tournaments, what's going on with people, what are other people trying. So we got Victory Road and we got Limitless VGC. Both of these resources are going to be really good on making sure you know what's going on with teams, and it's going to be great for copying teams. You're going to want to copy teams if you don't know how to build teams. I don't know how to build teams, right? I'm not going to be the best at this. I definitely want to copy teams, and Victory Road and Limitless VGC is going to give me that. As well as if there's any tournaments coming up, you can go ahead and register at Limitless VGC. There's other places to register, but that's going to be what I'm going to do there. And then and then also they give some nice little insights right here on Victory Road. They got some articles here on performances. They might even do interviews and things of that nature. So you're going to want to go ahead and just read up on those just to get an extra little insight on them. Be up to date on what's going on outside the games in terms of the tournaments, the people who are playing, their mindset, all that all that good stuff. And now even more research. We're going to research on how to build our teams. Now we can't build them in Pokemon Champions all the time. So what am I going to do? I'm going to build them in Maryland Team Builder, and I'm going to look at Peak Analytics and see what other people are building. And here's where I'm going to get even more ideas. Limitless VGC and Victory Road are going to be good for copying teams, but if I want some more in-depth research on individual Pokemon or maybe some niche options, right? If you go to Limitless VGC, you're just going to be able to copy a team, but that's about it. You're not going to get the in-depth of what they might have chosen had they not gone with that. You can only just see what the second, third, fourth best usage is, whereas on here, something like Peak Analytics, it's going to go ahead and give you percentages on what people are trying and what kind of sets they're trying them with. It's got the best teammates here with usage and everything like that, not just from tournament results, but just from every kind of research that they've compiled. And then Maryland Team Builder, obviously this is going to be an easy team builder. It's going to show you what synergies are going on with your team, what kind of coverage you're lacking, that sort of thing. There's going to be other research material that you can use. It doesn't have to be these specifically. I'm sure there's even more websites out there that go even more in depth than something like Peak Analytics might, but this is just a starter of what I would probably use. But what I'm going to use to study up on here, these are general ideas of what I would like to look at. All right, next up, we're going to test ourselves out. We got to make sure we know what we know. So you want to know your matchups in terms of the type chart, and you're going to want to know how much damage you're going to get or you're going to deal. So here are two of the guys that I'm personally going to be using, the type matchup quiz and the damage calculator. I don't know if I want to use Showdown's calculator. I don't know if I like it all that much. I might use a different damage calculator, but these are things I want to use. I want to use a damage calculator. I want to know the calcs, and I want to know my matches, right? I don't want to go in, fight against an Ambipom, and then I don't know what type Ambipom is, and then I'm screwed, right? Obviously, that's an exaggeration. I'm pretty sure it's normal, but any other Pokemon that you might encounter, you want to make sure you know what you're dealing with here. It'd be pretty awkward if you brought the direct counter but didn't know that you had the counter on there because you didn't know you had the type for it. You didn't know what you were doing. And it'd be really awkward if you were like, okay, I'm throwing something that's super effective, it's going to kill, but it turns out the other Pokemon is super, super bulky, and you're screwed. You're screwed. So I want to make sure I know my damage calculator. I want to make sure I know my type, so I'm not going in there and then caught with my pants down because I didn't know what it is I was doing. I didn't know who I was dealing with. And finally, I got to get some lessons in, right? No point in trying to learn if you're not willing to get taught. So what it is that I'm going to do, watch some YouTube videos, right? You want to watch these videos that have a lot of info in them and that teach you specific features of the battle. Also, another thing I'm going to be watching, actual games. You want to watch some high quality games that will actually educate you instead of just maybe your favorite YouTuber. You can watch your favorite YouTuber. I'm definitely going to keep watching my favorite YouTuber, but you would also want to watch games that are actually going to be high level, that are going to be in depth, and for that, the official Pokemon channel is actually really good because they live stream a lot of their events, and when they're doing the live streams, they also go over some of the matches. So you not only get to watch the matches, you also get to watch an overview of those matches where someone else tries to explain what their thoughts were while they were watching the battle. As well as, gotta have a community there. You know, other people can teach you things you may not know, right? If you're gonna watch a live stream or a YouTube video, or try to buy a masterclass guide, they might not have enough time for you individually, or they might not even answer to you individually, period. But a community is definitely going to help you. There's 1,000 different people who are always going to want to give their input, and if you ask a question, they're going to go ahead and respond. So Discord's going to be great for that, where you want to talk to someone. There's also going to be other communities like on Reddit, on Twitter, whatever it is, social media that you want to use there, where you can talk to someone who actually, you know, is going to have time for you and actually going to want to have a conversation with you. So there you can get some lessons there. Another thing I mentioned it first, a quick second there would be those master classes or the Patreons. I'm personally not going to pay for them, but if you had an idea to pay for them, I think those are actually pretty good because they're actually people who are taking time out of their day and getting paid to teach you. So it'd actually be a legitimate, real teacher there, right? That's what master class was meant for when it first came out, or something like Fiverr where you can get a personal coach or something like that. So those people get paid to actually teach you. I think those might be enriching, but I personally don't want to spend the money on that kind of thing. So I won't be using that on my study guide. Just gonna stick to the free YouTube videos, live streams, that sort of stuff. And I'm gonna try to make sure the ones I watch are focused on building up skills instead of just watching my generic favorite YouTuber. I'm still gonna watch them, of course, but if I'm actually planning on studying there, taking some time out of my day to be like, okay, this is gonna be used for time to improve on Pokemon, then I want to make sure that it's a video like Scrawl's videos where it's talking about how to prepare for Pokemon champions or team building basics, that sort of thing. You can watch your Pokemon teams designed to rage bait kind of videos, but that would I would want more in my free time or something like opening a ton of Phantasmal Flame. That's going to be more of my free time kind of video as opposed to what I would take out of my day to say this is actual studying. But yeah, that's overall how I plan to study. That's my study guide there. I'm gonna add different websites than what I showed, but this is like a start of what I would think I wanted to do. I'm uploading this video really close. I'm pretty sure the game comes out in a few hours, but that's gonna be what the study guide is gonna look like for what I want to do for champions. And hopefully that works. I really hope that that will actually feel some kind of improvement. I do like the VGC. I don't want to just watch games. I'm the guy who likes to actually play them. Fortunately, haven't had too much time for Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, but the VGC, if it's going to be on mobile, that's going to be with you wherever you go, and that's going to be real easy to play it as much as you'd like, as long as you've, of course, got the time for a game and the Wi-Fi for a game. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys decided to pick something up for your studying material. See ya!